the mind games and the chat coming from Loic's side as well. I think, summer break, he probably spent every gym session thinking, I want to be Jackson. I mean, he's known for being the kind of set and forget, grip it and rip it kind of guy.
How would you describe Jackson's setup? Because people have sort of speculated on what he's doing.
Quite kooky.
Go on, tell me more. All right, Ben Wood, aka Woody, welcome to the lovely Kurhaus Hotel in the amazing Lenzerheide Bike Kingdom. What a place for a World Cup, eh?
Yeah, it's a hell of a spot, eh? It's classic Switzerland, really.
Yes, it is. Clean, beautiful. I was walking home last night after the race and there was just like church bells ringing constantly somewhere, and it's like the most zen walk from work I've ever had.
I mean, going in the mornings and like as the sun's just started to hit the mountains that are opposite sort of where our pit windows are, it's pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, insane. Well, let's start with some recent times. World champion mechanic.
Recently, yeah.
Yeah, Jackson obviously was widely touted as a favourite for that. Like,
yeah, for sure.
A, incredible rider. B, insane season. C, lightweight, compact rider on a steep
suiting
track.
The location for sure. Yeah.
Did that put a pressure on you guys? How did you feel like approaching that event?
I don't think so. I think like we didn't necessarily sit down and speak about it in a great strategic detail, but we obviously knew it was a track he liked. He'd ridden there a couple of times over the summer and in the past and enjoyed himself, although certainly not that many laps, to be fair. But the process doesn't really change, I don't think. You're coming in with quite a set goal. Obviously, he was bouncing back off a bit of a disappointment, or quite a huge disappointment in Leger as well. So it was really cool to see how he would bounce back from that issue and just like straight into his stride again. And I mean, Worlds is always special and a bit different. You've put the effort into the bike side of things. We did the big surprise reveal for all the riders. And there's just a different bit of like magic about it without sounding too corny. It is cool.
I get it. Yeah. And I guess that helps separate it from the World Cup. And like you say, he came away from Leger, I would have guessed, pretty upset about that performance because things didn't go his way.
No, that was it. A lot of pressure after that summer break as well. Obviously coming back in leader's jersey and, all the mind games and the chat coming from Loic's side as well, which is brilliant, I have to add. To sort of like come back, have that, you've got the perfect storm of all that pressure, a terrible condition race in Leger, super hard conditions, and then making mistakes and then coming back from that to just sort of reset was really cool. And again, like I say, Worlds is, you get those World specialists where it is the one and done race.
Yeah.
Comes down to that singular execution of that run. So you can kind of like disregard everything that's come before or after, I suppose.
Yeah. Keep it as a one-off thing. It makes it super exciting. So talk us through the process of the week then. Where does it start for you guys? Obviously there's the bike build element and that reveal and the excitement that comes with that and the buzz and the kit and everything.
Yeah.
But then I guess work starts, the serious stuff starts. Talk us through step by step, like that week.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it was nice for us because it was quite a short commute because we're all based in Morzine.
Yeah.
Warehouse we've got for the team is based around that ways. And then we drove over, so it's only an hour and a half over the way, straight into a bit of pit setup. So that's like first part of the job for us is building the entire rig, which takes most of the day. And then into the bike builds and getting everything copied across. Over your first 2 days basically is like all the bike work and getting everything prepped, and then track walk day and revealing for the riders on the kit side of things.
And you go on track walk with Jackson, yeah?
Yeah, I try to pretty consistently. There's a couple I've missed over the years, but he always wants me there with him. So he always asks that I can get off if I can.
Yeah. Because
it is a hard thing to balance sometimes, especially I had it at this race actually because we then had his surprise world champion bike built. That was a whole nother sort of big push of parts and timescales and all that sort of thing. So a lot of it didn't arrive until quite late on the Tuesday night, and we're doing track walk on the Wednesday. So it would have made life a lot easier to just miss track walk and do the work through the middle of the day. But then I know I feel like, again, such a huge part of our role is the relationship and the vibe throughout that whole week.
100%.
Spanners is a hugely important part of it, but it is only a part of it.
Yeah.
You're kind of the relationship and the vibe you're building and kind of cultivating that through the week, I suppose, is pretty huge.
Yeah.
So I always feel like, if he openly says he wants me to go on track with him, I think it's really valuable as well as far as a tech side of things, because you actually see these sections, you see the rut lines. They obviously change a lot, but you see the sections, and then when they're describing stuff, you can really visualize it, and then you can have back and forth with tire choice or what you think is going to work in this section, and it's different for everyone. I mean, I very much leave the lines to him, Steve, and Gaz, because that's not my domain. Whereas like, you know, some other mechanics probably do have a bit more of a line chat with their riders, which I've seen. But then from the tech side of things, I can get a lot better of an idea and go from there really.
Do you make many decisions on the tech side on track walk?
Yeah, mainly tyres, I'd say.
Okay.
To be honest, tyres is always a really interesting one because obviously you're looking at the weather and you're looking at the condition of the track, because it's quite weird how much the dirt changing influences that decision. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, riders often have a favourite choice of tyre. I mean, you know yourself, you ask somebody what's the best tyre in the world, and it's a can of worms. So they've always got their own personal preferences. But yeah, seeing the track, seeing the conditions, you can have a bit of back and forth, even if you're thinking pressures or you're thinking, you know, tyre model or like. But then definitely like suspension setup wise, it influences it just seeing the place.
Okay, and is that mostly like on the tyre side? Is it mostly wet to dry, or are you literally talking different types of dry? You might pick, I don't know, an Assegai versus a DHR2.
Different types of dry now. I mean, Jack's traditionally always been the Assegai DHR guy, unless it was wet enough that you needed a wet screen, basically. Yeah. Then the HR3 came out, which has been really successful. He's really enjoyed that one. So the second you've got like a looser track and a bit more powdery, you know, like I'm sure you ran HR3s in Val d'Isole, which you've obviously got a lot of routes to squirm on, but then it's not that squirmy of a tyre because it's an intermediate, but then you had so much powder that you could bite into it. Yeah. And then we've got, you know, new things that Maxxis are coming out with all the time. So you literally are sort of weighing up, you know, amount of rock, amount of route. Is the dirt hard pack? Is there a soft layer? Is it like going to bite into anything? It's micro decisions, but it all influences it for sure.
Yeah, 100%. We're down to small margins often, so it's all got to be looked at.
And then to be honest, you have so few practice laps as well. This is always the thing that we go through. It's like, I think in the total week this week, Jackson did 13 laps of the track.
Okay, and this is a track where you can get a lot of laps in, right?
That's more than he would normally. Maybe it was 14 in the end because he did 3 on finals morning, right, whereas he always normally does 2. Yeah. But yeah, if you go in the wrong direction with setup or tyre choice for a couple of runs, you've kind of wasted half your session normally at most places.
Yeah, fair play. So you've got through track walk, you've made some fundamental decisions like tyre choice, maybe some thoughts on pressures and things like that, and a little bit of setup stuff. Then you go into practice day 1 and there's 2 sessions, right? Yeah. How do you approach that? Do you instrument the bike for the practice day?
As in data and stuff. Yeah, normally, yeah. So we normally start with data for the whole of the first practice day. More than anything, it's just to kind of corroborate that you're not going in a weird direction, and especially with Jack having had quite a few updates to his suspension, like platform and that recently, making sure, looking at some reasonably basic speed numbers, but you just have a bit of a ballpark of like where you want it to be. Very often doesn't change too much. Again, I feel like you've done so much work pre-season that, I mean, there's different schools of thought, I suppose, but we find that he much prefers to have like a repeatable and repeatably feeling bike, like consistently familiar. That's the best word. Sorry. I mean, he's known for being the kind of set and forget, you know, grip it and rip it kind of guy, which I think is a little bit. We do make more tweaks than that for sure. Yeah. But he's not one of these guys who's making big dramatic changes all the time. So it does very much stay within a window. So the asterisk to that has been the changes in product that we've been using through the year. Yeah.
So you've moved over to a rad prototype Fox Fork, which we assume, let's say, will be the next 40. And that was a mid-season change, which a lot of riders would be very tentative of, or even wouldn't even consider.
100%, yeah.
You guys did that and have made it successful quite clearly. Yeah. What gave you the confidence to make that happen, and how did you approach doing that?
Yeah, I think that's knowing Jackson and like knowing how we worked in the past. So he gets an insane amount of stoke out of the idea of being the first person to try something, or it's a prototype, or you know it is new, and it's like, well, hell yeah, I want to try it. Like, you know, if it can give me an advantage, I want to use it and I want to try it. And if there's an issue, you can always go back. Yeah, that's always the thing. I mean, you know, Fox don't pressure us with anything. They give us full choice to do what we want to do with the product that we have, or that they're happy to supply us. We had a nice bit of downtime to try it as well. Okay. Over Crankworks. Yeah. So I was in Crankworks Whistler for those couple of weeks, and we got it on there. And Geordie was in the house or in person as well, so he was helping us through the setup. Just I think knowing that Jack isn't a rider that's gonna have a bit of a prang out if it is a bit different. Like he can feel the differences on the bike better than he thinks he can.
Okay.
I think from what he tells me. But he's also just not afraid to try stuff, you know, when it's a bit of a low pressure environment.
Yeah.
I mean, we have in the past tried prototype stuff at races, which is a different argument because it's quite risky again if you have an issue that takes away runs, which we did have a couple of years ago. But then you work through it and you do just go back to where you were. And again, he's such an adaptable rider. I mean, I do believe that he's overwhelmingly talented and he could ride most setups down the hill to a very high level.
Yeah.
And then I think the fine tuning that we do is what ekes out those last couple of bits. And I mean, how tight times are nowadays, you're trying to just, you know, a good rider's always going to be a good rider.
Yeah.
And if they're confident on their setup, they're going to go faster than a rider who is on the data says perfect setup, but they're not confident in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. What, you done that? You had that time in the mid season, off season,
break,
to go away and test that new fork. But everyone always says like there's a difference between a World Cup race run setup and riding a bike anywhere else setup.
Sure,
like, is there a risk there, and how do you kind of try and make sure that, you know, okay, we're happy with it at Crankworks, but are we going to be happy with it when we put it on a World Cup racetrack?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he did manage to ride the 1199 track for a day before the race got written off anyway. Okay. So that's chunky enough to emulate a World Cup for sure. Testing, I mean, this is an eternal argument we have within the team for testing, or not argument, but just discussion, is like, it's so hard to, with certain test sessions, like you say, you can't test and ride at 100% race pace every time.
Yeah.
Because that's a recipe for disaster. So then when you take in test feedback from like 70, 80% runs, for consistency, you kind of have to extrapolate a little bit and, you know, use a bit of creative license to figure out which direction you want to go. I mean, the most basic level for that, it's just making sure that you're not at either end of the extremes of like your adjusters and clickers. You know what I mean?
It's like, to go.
You're like, hell, if I'm closed on my compression, then I'll definitely need a firmer tune when I come to a World Cup track, and with that sort of speed. And I mean, the rest of it, then you're just trusting the reliability of the product that you've been given, I guess.
So it comes down to experience, that ability to extrapolate out and know, like, okay, we're here when we're riding 80%.
Yeah.
We need 3 clicks of this room to maneuver when we get to a World Cup, because that's probably where we'll end up.
Yeah, within reason, basically. Yeah.
And what's Jackson's feedback like? Like, how do you two work through a practice session?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that evolves over the time as well. I mean, this is my 4th year with the team. 3rd with Jack after having the year out with his ACL as well, whereas with Ollie. So you just kind of like, you learn each other's habits and quirks and like what they'll want for a certain style of track. You know, it's like, it's got to the point now where I kind of know what tire pressure is, because there's like a window of like 3 psi that will run between tire pressures depending on track condition, temperature, wet, whatever.
Yeah.
Generally can basically guess that. And I don't know, you like, there's always still a surprise thing. Like, he's thinking a lot about setup and he'll have his own ideas. But then, like, you know, I mean, I just did some stuff to the start of the bike this week, to be honest, because it was like, coming from Champris, we'd added extra stem spaces in because of the steepness. We'd added a bit more compression on the fork, and tire pressure wise. And like, from the get-go, without even actually querying it, I just took the stem spacer out and like did the fork settings back to what would be closer to this style of track, you know, running a bit flatter and stuff, and then discussed it with him through the evening before we started practicing, and he's like, yeah, that all sounds exactly like what I wanted to do. And then he had his own ideas. Like, we'd had a few changes again, and we were just thinking, the rebound feels a little bit slow compared to where we were previously, which was before we'd even ridden the bike or done any data or anything. And we both, you know, did the classic car park bounce, and we were like, it just feels a little bit not quite right, like really close but just not quite right. And then for him to corroborate what I thought I could feel was like, there's clearly something there. So then we just went straight to Geordie the first morning after a run, because he was like, this definitely doesn't quite feel as balanced as it should be. And then Geordie agreed as well, and then we sped the rebound up, and then away we went, really.
Okay. And does Jackson talk in kind of tech and clicks rather than feel? He's not coming down saying the bike feels this way and then you will translate that, or do you
both? Honestly, yeah, for sure, both. Yeah, he'll come down and sometimes he'll be like, so like after that right hander, there's a load of holes developing at the end, and like I just feel like the front end pushes away from me, or, you know, something like that. Or, I mean, you know, in his crash yesterday, unfortunately. He was describing that to me afterwards, and he's like, yeah, I kind of like hit a hole, got bucked, thought I saved it, and then just didn't catch as the rear like let go. And so he doesn't seem to think he's that great at feeling precision with the bike, but I think he is, to be honest. I think it's just a lot of the time you're translating that sort of thing, as you say. Like you're never going to expect a rider to come down and be like, oh yeah, I think I need a click more high speed compression on my shock, or my low speed rebound on the front feels a little bit out. Whereas if they tell you the scenario and the location, and again, if you've seen the track and you're watching the trackside videos from in the chat, you know that every team has, and they have an abundance of line guys on the side of the track. You get a good idea of like you can overlay all that information and try and make an educated guess, which a lot of it is sometimes. You try and use your experience to like. I don't think there's several ways to fix the same problem all the time. Positionally, suspension, whatever you want to do. Even using like, if you want to firm your suspension up, you can use rebound to do that. So there's a lot of ways about it, and you're trying to figure out the one that will be the best and feel the most comfortable and all that sort of thing. Yeah, it's a tricky balance, isn't it? There's a lot of levers that you can pull, and pulling each one will do something slightly different. I mean, that's something I've found over the years as well, is like as my confidence is built, I'm more and more confident to think about it, make a decision, and be like, this is what we should do. So you'll often lead the change. I'd say, I'd definitely say for suggestion wise. And as long as he agrees, which he generally does, then we'll crack on. And would it normally be like a suspension change, or will you also look at like the layout of the bike, cockpit setup? Very often suspension. It's like stem spaces is something you can play around with pretty easily just for the height. Like you go to a steep track, you can chuck another 5 or 2.5 mil in. We did actually change a chainstay length chip in Chambéry, which I think is the first time we've changed his chainstay length in about 3 years. Did you go longer or shorter? Shorter, to get around those tight turns. It was actually a bit of discussion. Kieran McKinnon, who's our lead test engineer at Santa Cruz, or I think his official title is ride quality or something like that. He always tells me he's not an engineer, but he's the man. He's an absolute shredder. And he was clearly watching, and he looks at all of our tech sheets where we put our settings and stuff in. And he texted me, and what was the middle of the night for me from California, just like, I think, have you thought about trying them shorter chainstay chips? And funnily enough, me and Jack had thought about it. So then it was another voice that's like pushing in that direction. So we may as well try it and see what you think. And tried it, liked it, and went on from there. But that was another thing, actually, I changed straight back at this race, because he was like, it's just not as tight and techy. I just want the longer feel. High speed stability kind of thing. Yeah. How would you describe Jackson's setup? Because people have sort of speculated on what he's doing. Quite kooky. Go on, tell me more. No, that's a bit mean. Well, he's making it work. Whatever. He makes it work, It's unique, that's for sure. In what way? The bar roll is probably the one that hits you in the face the most. It's the obvious one. It's the obvious one. So far forward. I do think we've found the limit, though, because then One Up have now made a 50mm rise bar, which he was so keen to try, and he had that thing rolled all the way forwards, and I think it increased the reach of the bike by like 20mm. It was ridiculous. And he was like, that is too much, I can't do that. So, and it also changes the behaviour of the bar, right? Because that One Up's got the shaping to kind of give you lateral flex. Yeah, for sure. That's just something he's done since I've been working with him. The bar roll forward, the real flat levers. I swear the levers get flatter every day. Then relative to his size and weight, he runs very firm, very fast. And I wouldn't say the bike's big, but he likes it in its biggest. The headset's in its middle position and a medium. Everyone seems to think he's on a large for some reason. I don't know why, but he's on a medium. Medium front and rear end. You've not mixed? No. Yeah, full stock medium V10. Middle in the headset, and then long in the chainstay, which is probably the only other thing you'd be like, maybe you would want it shorter sometimes, which again we did in Chambéry, but every other race for the last 3 years it's been in long, I think. 4 years. So stiff and fast for how, it doesn't weigh very much, right? I would say, I was obviously hitting things a lot harder than any of us would. So then the mass changes a bit, or the forces change a bit, even despite his smaller mass. And then, just a bit. It's probably emulated. It shows in his riding style, I suppose, as well. He's known again as the poppy, bouncy, never quite on the ground. He's always kind of like moving a little bit more. Probably slightly harder tire pressure as well is something I've been starting to see. Is like, because he's stayed very consistent with a higher pressure. What will he run then? 23, 27 this week. Which is like, it's not hard, but it's, you hear of a lot bigger riders.
Yeah, Luca was running
19 and 22 or something like that.
2022 or something.
Exactly. Yeah, I was actually just thinking of Luca. I think I'd heard that clip.
Yeah.
So he's very consistently between 21, 24 and probably 22, 24 and then 25 through to 27.
And is he getting that traction back with fast suspension? Is that how he's keeping... Or is he just
really?
doesn't
I
need
think
traction?
He hates the feeling of a tyre rolling.
Okay.
It's something I've learned, which I guess is from endless years of bike park laps.
Yeah.
So if the tyre starts to feel like it's rolling, or he feels him dinging his rims, he doesn't enjoy it. And then I think he's so good at articulating his centre of mass and his balance. You see how much movement he does on the bike, and how like tall and forward he stands, and like he's very on the front end as well, sort of like just plows through the front end of the bike and keeps the rest in check, but it's I think it's pretty
drives
unique.
It through the front.
Yeah, it's pretty unique style.
Do you struggle with the tune side of things? Because I mean, he must be the lightest male rider on the circuit.
Yeah, I think he's like 64 kilos.
Yeah,
65.
Not
maybe.
a lot. I mean, I know he rides hard, but do you have to have specific tunes that are maybe abnormal, or?
No, to be honest, no. He's very much in line with like what Laurie was running, or very, very similar, to be honest.
Yeah. And what about the weight? You've been playing around a lot with weight on his bike over the season.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, that's been a fun one. I've really enjoyed. I mean, it's nothing new, but I have enjoyed everywhere you go now in bike parks or national races. There's people with weight packets just like sellotaped to their down tube. It's nothing new. People have tried it for years, but he always ran 500 gram of lead under the bash plate, which you wouldn't really see because it's quite stealthy. But the idea being just, again, a feeling difference. All the e-bike stuff nowadays, people really like that planted low center of gravity feeling. And then I think he's like, a bit more weight helps with his rolling mass and all that sort of thing. Which, I mean, to be honest, 500 gram, is it making any difference here or there? Because you think of it as far as like a feel difference for the bike, I think it will make a big difference, because you take, at one point we got it to 1.8 kilos, and you compare that to a bike that stock would be 17 something kilos. It's actually quite a good percentage versus the total package weight of somebody man bike being 80 odd. Yeah. Then it's pretty small. So I'm not sure how much difference it would make as far as the actual rolling speed. But again, almost if it makes him feel like he's rolling quicker. This is always the other argument. You're like, if you can do something that's not a negative and it makes the rider happier and feel faster and more confident, you'd be stupid to not do it.
It's a no-brainer.
Sometimes I hear people moaning, like other like mechs or whatever, be like, this doesn't make sense. Why am I doing it? Like, what's the point? And I'm just thinking, like, if that influences their psyche to be a little bit more confident, push a bit harder, trust the bike a bit more, like, how is that? It can't be a negative.
It's never a bad thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then we've graduated now from roofing lead and the zip tires, and we had the PT strap, which was quite a nice one at one point. Was it Leogang the PT strap came out? Because I remember PT got a tool strap roll. And he was like, you can chuck that on there, and then you can put the logo on the driver's side, and then when it's on the podium, it will look really good. And we were like, right.
Nice,
and then
one,
literally
Steve.
that exact podium shot came out on PT's products like 2 days later. It was perfect. We ran that for a bit. And then, very cool actually, the engineers in Santa Cruz got a bit excited about it and like got keen to work with us, and we put a project together. I say I didn't actually have that much to do with it. Kieran was a big driving factor again, and like Husky, who's our lead mechanic, sort of had more involvement in it, and they've designed and engineered now an actual metal weight holder. So we've got tungsten rods, being quite a nice dense bit of material, really pleasing little bit of engineering, like a unit on the bottom which you can take rods in and out of as you like for certain weight. And then we've also got rods in the crank spindle, which again is nothing new, but the guys made some bungs that we've glued in and fixed in, and then with a cap on the other side to hold it all secure and it's not going to rattle or do anything stupid. So, because previously, again, I had like a bit of roofing lead that I'd rolled up into a noodle and shoved in there, and a few strips of it held on with a strap, and it's like, I mean, it did the job, but it wasn't the prettiest thing in the world.
Fair. Have you tuned that weight then? You said you got to 1.8 at one point.
We just kind of, I mean, honestly, we added more until we never actually reached the point of him saying this is too much.
Okay.
I just ran out of lead and space to put it, if I'm perfectly honest. So we got to, he had 500 gram in at the start of the season as always, or as the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And then we were in Ludenville, and he's, understandably a bit nervy about the top section because he's never done well there. He's always dropped a couple of seconds and then wound it back on, and he's like, what can we do to just try and make it quicker? And I was like, do you want me to should we just put as much, we were talking about the weight side of things anyways. And I was like, yeah, should we just put as much as I can on for first practice and see what you think? If you don't like it, come straight off. And the natural finish of me strapping things on was about 1.8 kilo.
Fair.
And he said he could really feel like a riding quality difference, which at first was perhaps weird, but didn't dislike it. And then just kept running it. So
worked out all right.
Yeah. And then it's like, you don't even really, like, we didn't make any suspension changes necessarily, because again, as a package weight, I don't think you're not influencing it that much.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah.
Weight distribution, I guess, changes, but like...
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So are you still at that 1.8 with all the new system?
No, dropped it down. We're about 1.3 at the minute.
Okay. And you've kept that consistent. You wouldn't change it from like Chompery to Ludenville?
No, to be honest. I mean, we've got, again, you can change these little tungsten rods out. You can change the BB one to take like 400 odd grams out, I think it is. Oh, no, sorry, the BB is about 600. And then you can take like 90 gram increments out, but we've just been running the full thing.
Yeah.
Because then, we dropped it down just because then the packages that we got from the guys, that was the max that they allowed, basically.
Yeah, so, fair. Sweet.
And then I'd already taken a chunk out of it was in La Tuile. We had a bit of a mystery rattle, and I thought it was the lead in the spindle, so I took that out. So then the Tuile, it was running about 1.3 again. So it naturally copied across. I'd already dropped it down, and we didn't miss the 300.
Yeah.
And then it's not much less from the new product that we got from the guys in Santa Cruz.
Nice. So pulling it back to World Champs, 2 practice days, right? It was kind of a weird...
Yeah, you get an extended... It wasn't as much as previous years, but World Champs that's another thing that makes it a bit different, to be honest. Like, compared to a World Cup, the schedule is different.
Yeah.
So there's generally an extra day practice. Qualifying was actually qualifying this year rather than being seeding, which was a bit of a... No one seemed to quite have their head around that. But I mean, not that it made too much difference, but... so you get like an extra day off practicing. Although then with the conditions, a lot of people chose to sack it off, which was interesting. So that was an interesting one. Yeah. I mean, the boys went out and rode. Jackson had an incredible skating dismount, sliding down that steep techie bit before he popped back out onto left-hander. That was really good. But that was genuinely quite interesting, seeing the difference. Who chose to ride, who chose to park in the truck and be like, this isn't worth it. Because there's an argument for both. I mean, if the track was slippy, dicey death, and it was not going to ever be like that again, which it ended up not being, there's almost like, why would you go out and ride, risk injury, changing your setup, maybe scare yourself, make yourself less confident, especially if you have a crash or you rattle yourself or whatever. Because I mean, I wouldn't necessarily be that keen to go and do a full run down Chompery in those conditions, to be honest. It'd be dicey as. But then at the end of the day, the boys were just like, we're here to ride our bikes. We're paid to ride our bikes. I want to go ride my bike. If for no other reason than I want to go ride my bike.
Yeah, that's amazing though that they feel that way. Like, okay, it's a job, but we love it. We're going to go do it.
Yeah, that's the thing with Jack especially. I think it's like he's always got that image of like he's almost not quite professional, I would say. I don't know, like
because he has fun.
He's quite laid back. He has fun of it. Like, but I mean, the effort he puts in is huge. People think he doesn't train. He does train. Like, the ACL recovery was massive. No doubt he's athletically gifted and genetically gifted, but like the effort he puts in is still monumental.
Yeah,
because I don't think anyone who's naturally gifted gets to that point without then also putting in all the hard work.
The hard work needs to meet the talent, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think people forget as well. You had that 23 season with the appendix, and you went straight into the ACL. It's like it was a successful couple of years in peaks and then some very big troughs. But at the end of the day, he just loves riding his bike. Like, he really does. Like, he froths going out in practice with fresh kit from Fox or fresh bikes or whatever it is. He genuinely, like, the first thing we were chatting about now, he's leaving today. I just saw him before he left, and he's just like, just going to get home and get the last couple of days in the bike park in Whistler before it shuts. Just go do some party laps with the boys. Just
doesn't want to stop riding.
Went on his week in between Worlds and here was a riding holiday in Finale with his family and girlfriend. Just like riding, eating, living. Just like, he actually really enjoys it. So
that is super cool, isn't it?
Yeah. We've made, there's a few people made like a bit of a comparison to like, he's almost like a non-boozy Steve or like old school rider. You know what I mean? Maybe Steve's not the right one, but like an old school new wave, but not quite. It's like a bit of a blend.
He blends the two.
Like, he'll like go out and shred. He's a bit more rough around the edges. He's not a polished, perfect, health and wealth kind of athlete that you might see a lot nowadays. He's also not a big boozer, but he'll go out to the parties, he'll DJ the after party, he'll stay out without drinking, just because he enjoys being out with his mates and enjoying being here again, just living. I think
that's cool, and it's not going to hurt, is it? As long, if he's enjoying what he's doing that much, then
that's it.
Everything we see of Jackson is very upbeat, very energized, very like full on, to use a term.
Yeah.
Like, are there down moments? Like, do you see that side of him, or is he genuinely like always able to be that kind of upbeat about stuff?
I mean, his attitude's always really good. Yeah. Even when he's had a gut punch of a result or a mistake or, whatever, he's never wallowing in it, He can be fuming for 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever it is, and disappointed. I mean, normally by the time I get down from whatever that was, it's kind of past, and he's, into looking forwards. He definitely. I mean, everyone has their ups and downs, don't they? But he is generally just looking forwards and positive, and on to the next thing. And I think again, just appreciative of like, no matter how bad your day's gone, you're still. He's still who he is. He's still this kind of little international mountain bike superstar, I suppose. So.
Do you ever feel like you have to raise to that energy? Because I get the impression you're quite level. Like, you seem always quite calm, chilled. Like, and maybe that's exactly what he needs, right? But do you ever feel like you need to bring some of that as well?
Yeah, a little bit. To be fair, I think that's something I probably puzzled more with the first couple of years of working with him. Was a bit like, because I mean, like my first year, I hadn't done anything previously race mechanic wise. I'd been bike mechanic for years, but not done any race stuff. Didn't know Jackson. We just got put together by the team, as fortune would have it. And you're like, you're in these crunch moments at the top where it's high pressure before you're going down for the race run, and you're like, do we chat? Do you shoot shit? Do you like, I don't know, like where do you draw the line? It's like you kind of have to figure all that out. And then so I'm very much, pretty sort of middle of the road, flat line. Try and stay pretty. I'm not very emotionally reactive. And that sort of thing. I wouldn't say. Plenty of mates have called me horizontal because I'm so laid back, apparently. But then, several times I think it was 23. I asked Jack, I was like, do you want me to do anything different, like at the top, or like, is my vibe good? And he's like, no, honestly, it's exactly what I want and need, because he's like, you've struck the balance of laid back and not in a hurry, not in a tiz. The worst thing you want is like, or in my mind anyway, as a mechanic, the worst thing would be me absolutely fretting, shaking, fumbling with the turbo trainer, and like, if I'm nervous as hell and carrying that energy, that's going to translate across in my mind. Like, people feed off the energy of those around me. If one person comes into the pit having an absolute hissy, it does affect everybody else. It's like, you've got to control that. But he was like, you relaxed, but everything's calm and collected and under control. It's like, without it, you're relaxed and laid back without seeming,
that you're missing things.
Shit. Not picking up all the pieces. Like you've got it all in a pile, but in quite a relaxed manner. So that's what I just try and carry on doing, I suppose.
And so talk us through being at the top of world champs. And you've worked your way through 2 practice sessions. You've got to where you need to be. It's Jackson's first elite go.
That was a wild fact to think about. It was first go in the elites.
How did you feel? Like, are you able to maintain calm, laid back, Ben, or like?
I get nervous, honestly. Like, I really do. I think I do a good job of hiding it, and I feel like, to be honest, Val di Sole, I was genuinely like, I don't know why for that particular one. Whether it's because he was last man down, the energy of it, all that sort of thing. That race in particular was the most nervous I've been for some reason. That I don't know why.
Me. Yeah. How did that manifest for you? Like,
just like, I mean, hell, I don't think I'd eaten really all day. Like, I struggle with food on race day. And like, I've picked up the habit of chewing gum a lot.
Okay.
Which is one thing to try and help control it, I suppose. But then you go through like, I think I went through literally like two or three packets of gum while I was stood at the top of Val di Sole.
What are you worrying about? Because at that point, it's kind of all in Jackson's
job's
hands.
Done. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You're such a dial guy that I would imagine you're pretty confident in your process that you've not left anything.
I think that's the thing. It's like, I think you just get like, I get very invested in what he's doing at the end of the day. You've put so many hours in, you've put all the work in, you've seen the work they're putting in, and it very much feels like, this has always been a bit of a tricky confliction sometimes as well, because obviously it's an individual sport, but then you've got all the support staff, but then it very much feels like this team effort from us, which is cool.
Yeah.
And he very much makes it feel that way as well. He very often talks about us as a team, which is nice, to know that that's how he's seeing it. Yeah, I really don't know, because like you say, I've done the quadruple bolt check down the bottom, because especially being the elite man, especially when you last few guys off, you have a monumental wait between practice and heading off your finals run. You know, practice finished at 11 and we're not leaving the pits until like 2:30, 3 o'clock.
So you've got all that time to check.
A lot of time to do not a lot of work, really. So you check your bike over, you're pretty confident, or you're very confident, you know everything's tight. There's always a little voice in the back of your head that says, did you check that one? Does that one not come loose? Or, you know, what about that thing? Or but yeah, I don't know, to be honest. I don't know. For some reason, Val di Sole, I was properly nervous, but just, I don't know. Yeah, I had some weird feeling. But
what about champs?
Champs, I was fine, really. I mean, I have nerves. You get nerves. You can't help it. But honestly, the energy at the top of a racetrack when everyone's warming up is unlike anything else. It's really cool. Like, honestly, it's one of the coolest parts of the week, is just being up there for that kind of mix. And we even still say it, like Jack says it, like Val di Sole, I particularly remember. Sorry to keep going back to Val di Sole, but like they've got a massive bit of the gondola station that you're allowed to warm up in, which changes obviously for each venue depending on the lift and stuff. The day prior, you've got 150 dudes warming up in there, and it's rammed, and there's people everywhere, and there's noise. And then we go up there late, and there's literally us, I think Ocean. I mean, this space is like the size of a football field, and you got us, Ocean, and then I think I can't remember who else. There was a third person over in the corner somewhere. But then they went for their run straight away. So for like the longest time, it was just Jack and Ocean, and then I think he went pretty soon after as well, because then you have quite big gaps. And then you're seeing all these big names dropping before you, like, you know, like Loic going before you, or Amory dropping before you, or whatever. They're leaving to go and do their run, and he's still mid warm up, and you're like, I just don't remember in Val di Sole. You look at each other and you're just like, this is fucking cool. Like, this is insane. Like, it's just being in that kind of environment, you can literally cut the tension. Champs was actually a very different vibe in a way, because they happened to have a bar at the top of the track, which is, I mean,
it's a good addition to any race.
To put a bar at the top of every track, that'd be great. They had a little container bar at the top of where the track dropped in, so you'd like get the chairlift up, and then you had to ride down a few hundred meters, and then you'd drop in there. There was a load of the boys from a few different teams were sitting having a beer after qualies and then after the racing as well. And there was a bit more activity, a bit more of a jovial mood, I would say. After a mechanic had sent their rider off, they'd be like calling your name, like, come on, time for a beer. But that was super cool. I mean, again, normally, you know, like, I don't know, La Tuile, for example, we warmed up around the side of the Gondi building on our own in a little cubby hole where they keep the piece bashes. And then the actual start ramp was literally the start hut and a few commissaires and a little easy up. So then he was way there, and I just sat on my phone watching on my one. I think like there was somebody filming me maybe, or I was just squatting in a corner on the fire road, just watching it unfold there, and then running back up obviously after I had the resort. Whereas Champs was a bit different.
How was Jackson feeling coming into that? Could you feel a difference in him?
Definitely confident. Big again. The rebound emotionally after Leger was quite huge. Like, he was obviously fuming after Leger and really disappointed. And then coming into Champrix, he felt quietly confident, I would say. You know, he's never going to come out and be like, I'm going to win this thing, but like, he felt good. His riding was good. Everyone said he looked good. We had the coolest moment going up the lift actually for his finals run, because your chairlift would go over the bottom of the track, like where those bottom jumps were, and there was the huge crowd of like, I don't know, 200 or 300 people all on the hillside. And as soon as they saw you, it was us, because you were in a chairlift and you're completely open. They were just, the whole crowd erupted. There was people with signs for Jackson all over it. It was insane vibe going up. Everyone who sees you like shouting and screaming and hollering and stuff.
He's definitely tapped into something. Like, you can walk through the pit after a race, and there is the hugest crowd waiting to have a bit of Jackson time.
This race just gone was insane.
Incredible.
Obviously, like, he's had like, you know, super disappointing result, and you know, he's sort of in the back of the pit organising his gear, and then I've come back down, and the sea of people out the front is absolutely insane. Like, there was, I don't know, it's like 6, 7, 8 people deep the entire length of the pit wall. And they're all chanting, and as soon as they get the slightest image that he's there, it's like Jackson. And then Nina came out, and they were both, getting rid of a bit of old kit, and they were throwing stuff into the crowd and signing autographs. And this went on for, had to be 45 minutes, an hour, before we then as a team had to close it down and be like, look, really sorry guys, but they've got places to be, there's stuff going on. It was so loud because I was trying to pack down my little table at the front as everything was going on, and the pull he's got is insane. He said it this year in particular, at home, Squamish and going to Whistler and stuff, it's you literally cannot go anywhere. You walk through the village in Whistler and it takes you 3 times as long to get where you're trying to go, because
it's crazy,
and it's super cool. It's so sick to see the Stoke people out for it.
But it seems to be different to any other ride. We've always had popular riders, but somehow it seems to have gone to another level. I don't know. Even compared to Loic is obviously a very popular character in the pit, super nice guy, always takes times with the fans. But it seems to have even been more demand for people to see Jackson. I don't know if it's because he's young and the younger generation can see themselves in him, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. A lot of his fan base is a lot of the Groms, and the younger kids and people who are looking up to him and idolising him. I think he probably tapped into the perfect level of age, social media and all that sort of thing as well. He's very good with all of that. Hell, after a race, there's people make TikToks about whatever's happened of his race result about 30 seconds after the race results happened. He's shown me a few before. It's absolutely nuts. It's I don't know quite what it is. Obviously he's a super genuine guy. How he comes across is how he is. He's just stoked for riding his bike. And again, I think that idea that he is a bit not quite the polished athlete. He's going out having fun. He's doing what he wants to do. He's not afraid to sort of show who he is. I guess people connect to that.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's nuts to see, honestly. It's absolutely wild.
Yeah, really good for the sport.
Yeah.
So talk us through his World Champs race run from your perspective then. So you're at the top.
Yeah.
There's a bar.
Yeah, there's a bar. There's a lot of mates who are sat at the bar drinking beer already. He's warming up, and you've gone through, you go up an hour in advance. So you're up there a little while. You leave the pit normally an hour and 5, depending on how fast the lift is for us. So you're getting up there, you're setting your tempo trainer up, find your spot. Managed to nail the same spot as we did the day prior, which is always nice. I think that's like a mini game within itself for me and him, definitely, because he helps to choose it. But from the day you go up for track walk, I'm trying to find where's going to be a good warm spot, because that's another super personal thing for the rider. Some guys they don't care. They'll just go in the big white tent with everybody else next to whoever they don't care.
Yeah.
Jack isn't that. He's not fussy, but he loves it if he can be somewhere that's a bit away from everyone and a bit better, it's that thing. I feel it's a little mental win straight away if you're this is a sick spot to warm up, not getting distracted, no other people around you, loads of room to do your thing, on the bike or on the floor or doing body weight or whatever. Got a cool spot, warming up in a way. We could see the start ramp, so he was getting off every now and then going cheering as his mates come by, which I think is another thing, to be honest. He'll literally get off and he'll go over, and he was screaming when Ronan went out the gate, and he's got so much stoke for the people that he knows and he loves within the sport. And then lockdown, get into we're still pretty. He's a different level of focus, you can tell from the start of race day. You're heading up for that race run, he's a lot more locked in, he's a bit quieter, but we're still having a bit of banter back and forth. You're still chatting, you're still kind of fucking around. The last 10 minutes or so, I'll do final comfort check of the bike, pedal it around, make sure the tyres are in the right place and the brakes work, all that sort of stuff. And then we roll over, and you've got your 10 minutes or so before where you're sort of standing there, and he'll spin his legs out, just grabbing onto my shoulder or whatever. And then, final hug, send him away. And then I turned around and I started watching on the stream on my phone. And then was kind of half packing the bike. I was I'll pack a bit of the bike down and I'll half watch the stream, whatever. And I was right next to where the boys were sitting at the table next to the bar. And they had the live time, and then they were a little bit ahead. So I'd watch the start I was half trying to do the bike, but obviously I was pretty much paying attention to the phone. And then, saw he was super in touch, and then the boys shouted that he was green, and then I was just what am I doing? I'm not going to make it down. I'm going to go sit with my mates and watch it happen. Because again, it was such a unique experience to get that. Normally you're just sitting on your own somewhere. Yeah. Or I think 23 Mont Saint Anne, it was me, and then Jack, who's Loic's mechanic, and then Rich, who's Ethan Craig's mechanic.
Yeah.
We were the last 3 guys at the top, and we like watched the last bit of the stream together. That was it.
Nice.
So, but this time, walked over, sat down with those boys, carried on watching the stream, watched it all the way through to see him going to P1, and like this is the communal stoke again for all of those lads was insane. Like it's such a good vibe. And then it was like, well, I'll sit here now and I'll watch the last few boys come through. So it was then it was Loris and Loic, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then Loris came through and couldn't get onto the time, and then saw Loic drop in, and then I was watching like the live stream, so it's a few seconds behind. And then Ben Lovell, who's Charlie's mechanic on the Athens, was sitting opposite me, and he got the live timing, so he was a little bit ahead. And saw like Loic's coming down the track, and then Ben is just like, Loic's like 12 seconds back at the first split, like he's crashed, like that's it. And I was just like the shell shock of that, and then I was like, I have to watch it on the screen. Like it's not like I don't disbelieve you, and I don't want to see somebody crash, but I need to see that this is true. You know what I mean? And I think, and then saw it unfold, and then just I kind of don't really remember a lot of it, but the boys erupted around me. I was obviously just blown away, because it's always the same thing. You're like, I believe that Jack can win everything. Like every race we go to, I believe he can win it, but then you can't believe that he has done it.
Yeah, okay.
And again, you never want to see it go to a result where someone crashes to make that so. You want to see him battle it out. But that ended up being the result. And then next thing I know, I'm getting up, and Ben and then Barney have got me on their shoulders, and Mark's bringing another bit of beer around, and then I was on their shoulders getting jumped around, and it was honestly, it was like, I can't thank those boys enough. It was one of the coolest experiences. Like I'll remember that forever.
Yeah.
Like getting that result and being surrounded by so much stoke, it was insane.
Yeah, it would have been a special result anyway, but to experience it in that way just elevates it.
Yeah, because it's as the mechanic, you're never going to see them come over the finish line, which is a bit of a sad fact, honestly. You will never see them come across the line. The only hope you've got to be at the bottom, which I've very fortunately had a couple of times this year, or maybe slightly unfortunately in his point situation, was that he qualified badly a couple of times. So it would like be mid-pack, come down, and then I would have time to get down the Gondi and be in the finish, like Ludenville, Leergang. I was in the finish bowl when like the final rider came through, because Jack had qualified like 12th and 15th, I think. But normally you'll never see it. You'll watch it on your phone, and you'll get back down. You've got to get down the lift and unpack all your stuff, and then go find them at the finish or at the podium. And you're like just hoping that you can make the podium. That was insane. And then I didn't realise till after as well. And then I had a load of messages from mates being like, "You're on the live stream." I had loads of people with the clips, and I'm like, Barney and Ben have got me on their shoulders, just chanting me around. And then conveniently it cuts off as I start to scull a beer, and Mark's coming around with another picture. And then there was a second clip that I managed to go back and find it. Just because, I thought it was super cool. And there's another clip where it must be like as you realise that Loic had crashed, and I've just like hands over the sides of my head, like looking down at my phone, and then I start getting sprayed with beer and come back to reality. And it is crazy. I find it not necessarily an internal confliction, but something really interesting to ponder is like, how invested do you get in the result of the ride? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like, you are definitely a team for sure, but for some guys you get the vibe it's like you just turn the spanners and then send them away, and that's your job done. And at the end of the day, that is, we've been having chats with our team start of each race and kind of go around the room and set like what are your intentions for the week with Seb, our global marketing director, and he's been standing in as TM for us recently, and trying to get that sort of, again, build that vibe and cultivate that kind of ideal of like, what are you here for, what do you want to do? But for me, it's very much, it's like I'm not trying to find new ways of saying the same thing, because I'm like, well, my process is exactly the same. For me, like this week just gone, for me, I'm very proud of the fact that I had a really good week, and me and Jack had a really good week until that singular mistake. The whole week was great. He did a great job. I think we did a good job. The working environment and relationship, I thought, was really, really good. Just things, again, like be it bike work, be it just thinking ahead and having, for me, it's always that, like, you're looking at the weather. Do you take wet goggles? Do you take roll-offs? Do you take this? Do you take that? And I'm prepping all the gear that we take up to the top, supplement-wise, or like our Colin, our physio, was getting all the drinks and stuff together. So you're just making sure you've got everything to a T, like, so that it's repeatable and it's the same, and it's but then you're like, so your process is the same thing, win or lose. Almost my performance as a mechanic can be separated from his performance as a rider, and you've got to sort of compartmentalize that a little bit.
Yeah.
Because if you get distraught and think that I've done a shit job because he crashed, it's never going to help anyone, and it's not true.
Okay. Yeah.
But then in the past, I have sort of struggled with like celebrating the wins a little bit. Do you know what I mean? I could almost feel a little bit like not quite genuine.
Okay.
In a way, I guess. I think
like it's not your win.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like I'm like, I didn't ride the bike. Like, I did my job, but like. So I think like the first season or two for sure was a bit of a like, I didn't feel like I really enjoyed the moment, because I was a bit more like, he's won, it's his moment, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it is, at the end of the day, he's got to execute, he's got to do the bike riding. There's a reason he's the global star that he is. But yeah, I think something I've gotten slightly better at this year is actually just taking stock, enjoying the moment, and like recognising my own contribution, I guess.
Yeah, good.
Which is also owed to Jack, because he's verbally told me that.
That's cool.
And like, yeah,
that only goes to help the relationship as well, right?
Exactly, I think so. Yeah, it is such a unique one, and again, I think that depends on the rider, it depends on the mechanic. You see some guys who switch mechanics all the time, and I mean, hell, it's like any other sport, golf caddies or whatever, teammates, or I guess it's always changing, so no one's irreplaceable, but you can, I think building that relationship is extremely important. I
would completely agree with you. So you've had this like celebration on the top of the hill, and at some point you found your way down. What do you remember of when you first set eyes on Jackson?
Oh, it was incredible. I genuinely thought I was going to go into cardiac arrest going back up the hill, because I chose to pedal back up to the chairlift rather than roll down the road. And with the weight of the wheel bag and the turbo and pedaling, and a normal bike that's a size too small for me up the hill was pretty.
And a few beers.
And a couple of beers, yeah. Probably all put into the mixing pot of not being a finely tuned athlete in that moment.
Yeah.
And then, I managed to get down. I literally pedaled back to the pits, which is thankfully pretty close, just because I've got this huge backpack, wheel bag, spares, tool roll, like all sorts of shit. Dumped the bag and the bike there. Literally just like Jack and Nina, so Nina's mechanic, they were both at the door, and I just gave them the stuff, and they were like, just go, because then the podium was over a separate spot to the finish.
Okay.
And I sprinted through the crowd, desperately trying to elbow people, and like saw a few people I know who were like congratulating me, and I was like, yeah, that's great, thanks. I know, like, I've got to go, because I was so keen to make the podium. And I literally got around the side of the podium, managed to radio Steve, and he was like, we're on like this side of it or whatever. And then got to the gate, saw Steve, then Jack came charging over, and it was just like the biggest hug, and just screaming and noise. I don't know, I can't really remember too much of exactly. I don't think we said much that was coherent. I think we were just shouting. Huge hug. His parents were there as well, so Ron and Miriam were already there, so like hugs with them. They're pretty much in tears. Obviously, they've just seen their son win the world championship, which is the coolest thing ever. Again, to actually have them there is nuts. That as a family unit, and I think that as a family, they take so much, or can take so much credit for how Jackson operates. You know what I mean? Like, you go and spend some time with them, and you can see how it's come to be.
Yeah.
Like, it makes a lot of sense. They're really great people.
What do you think they've done as parents that have helped Jackson get where he is? I mean, I'm sure it's an endless list.
It must be huge. Yeah. I remember one thing that Miriam said was like they sort of never criticised failure, I think, was one of the biggest things.
Interesting.
Which I thought was a really interesting way of putting it. Like, it was always like, you're never gonna, you don't want to fail, but like don't demonise it.
Yeah.
Which I do think like portrays across now, or carries across now, to how Jackson operates, because
his mindset's incredible.
He's not afraid to commit.
Yeah.
Like, he's this race from just now, he was like, I was fully committed to that line, and it went wrong.
Yeah.
But that's as far as I'll carry it. I'm sure it'll sleep in his, he'll be a little demon in his head for a few days, and he'll be thinking about it, but he's not afraid to put himself out there and fail, because of that. It's that classic thing of like, if you want to put yourself out there to succeed, you've got to be completely comfortable with failing. And I think that's a massive thing. I think so many people operate on a fear. They operate with a desire to not fail rather than a desire to win.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
It totally makes sense.
Whereas if you're that worried about failing, you're not gonna be loose. You're not gonna be relaxed. You're not gonna be able to do your thing.
Yeah,
because you're gonna be so shit scared of like making a mistake. sorry, I just realised I keep swearing. I hope that's all right.
No, you're all good.
You can be so scared of making a mistake that you can't get into that flow state. You know what I mean? So I think that's huge. Like encouragement, support network. That family is so tight, you know, between his parents and his sister. And
he was straight on the phone to Bailey. I think,
literally,
like,
Bailey on FaceTime in the finish. Like they're literally a family unit. Like you can't overstay that. And yeah, I think just giving him the opportunity, and then I think how they've raised him has to be a big factor in his mindset, how strong he is mentally.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, for someone his age to deal with what he's dealing with, he's incredibly mind strong. Like that's the impression I get from the outside.
I mean, there's that new wave of rider coming through that's like they're not worried about their transition to elite. Hey, because there's always the traditional thing, you know, all these phenomenal riders would decimate juniors, dominate, setting crazy fast times, and then they would step up to elite and they would just take 2 steps back. They couldn't transition smoothly. Excuse me. Whereas now, I think the social media, like the media side of it, they're superstars at 16, which they're so used to that. I think that makes a big difference. So you're starting to get this new wave, you know, like Jordan, when Jackson Jordan came up, Jordan won here straight away.
Yeah.
And then you've got Asa coming through. I highly doubt Asa or the Alran brothers are going to have an issue in elite.
I think you're fair.
You know,
yeah.
So I think there's that new breed of rider that's just not phased by the attention.
Yeah,
you know, they're comfortable, they're self-assured, they're used to being in the media spotlight. But yeah, I mean, again, that's another trait of Jackson's. Like I've said, I remember Latuile practice. He was puzzling for some reason. We were having a bit of that. That was when we were having the mystery rattle, which was doing my head in as well as his. And he just felt like junk on the bike in time training. I had a great morning practice, and then went back up for time training in the afternoon. And by that point, you've had another session of people come down it, and the track's pretty blown apart. And he was just hating riding. He was like, I feel like that's the only time I ever see him get real angry.
Yeah.
Well, not angry is the right word. Like frustrated is if he doesn't feel like he's riding how he wants to. You know, like he's not executing how he wants to do it. And he was just like in his own head, just like, what the fuck am I doing? Just can't ride, which again, his version of can't ride is very different to most people's can't ride.
I'd take his version.
His version of can't ride is light years ahead of my best day ever. But then I was just like, dude, don't lose your self-assurance. Like that level of self-belief and self-assurance, and not second guessing yourself that you have is one of your superpowers. Like, because it doesn't go as far as being, you know, super cocky and arrogant.
Yeah.
It's just this quiet, like, maybe not so quiet at times, but like very just internal belief. Like no questions. I say no fear of putting yourself out there, committing, doing it, and like you've committed. Let's do it. So I'd like to say I literally said that. I was just like, don't lose that internal like self-belief, because that is a superpower.
Yeah, and that weekend turned out all right, didn't it?
And then that weekend went all right. Yeah. So yeah, that was a nail biter. The wheel in that one was a weird one. I did not have a clue that he had
what happened there? Yeah,
he's got a great clip of it actually on Instagram somewhere on Pink Bike or whatever, and he just gets his line. There's like a big long fadeaway over into a compression, and he just clatters this pointy, gnarly looking rock. But it's like 2/3 of the way down the track, and like I had no clue anything about it. It's watching on the stream, you can't tell. And then Steve radioed through and was like, yeah, he's got a slight flat on the back. And then got down there and the entire rim had cracked through half of the way.
Whoa.
But held like pressure. So
that's what you need.
Kudos to reserve for that one. Thank you very much.
Does he break much stuff, Jackson?
No, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
He generally, I mean, it's crashing. Like I think Leah Gang, he had an OTB and I had to do the cockpit. Rims is generally pretty light on. I had to replace one this week just because you got a flat tire in practice, and then ran down on the rim. And therein you've kind of scrapped the rim at that point. So.
You only did one rim this week.
Yeah,
that's insane.
It's pretty good
on this track. I was talking to some mechanics that said riders were going through like one a run pretty much.
Yeah, hell, I mean, poor Lee Huskinson next to me in the pit bay. Laurie did 3 in 3 runs. Sadly for Laurie as well. I mean, that sucked.
Yeah, because you lose those runs, right? Pretty much.
I mean, this was his two practice runs and then finals.
Yeah,
he did 3. Well, he had 3 flats. I don't know if he actually did all the rims. I think he did 2 rears and then he did a front in his finals run, which is why he had the DNF. But yeah, that sucked. I mean, we're pretty fortunate. I think with like I'm stoked to work on the team I'm with. If nothing else, then the product is insanely good.
Yeah,
and I know I'm biased. And I'm paid to say that, but it is genuinely, from a mechanical point of view, like I don't think you'll find an easier bike to work on than a V10. And the wheels are incredibly reliable. Maxxis give us great support with the tyres. The Reserve and Maxxis combo goes really well. Like, you don't even need a compressor to blow things up. You can just do it with a foot pump.
That makes such a difference.
Like, it's great. You know, Shimano's easy to work on. Like,
nice.
It's a really nice setup, and I think that helps as well. And then, right, like Jack's very light rider. You know, it's rare that you hit something hard because he's made a big error. You know.
Yeah.
And it still happens. I mean, you know, you clatter stuff, and that's what it's there for. But generally, you do all your maintenance changes as you would normally through a week, you know. But as far as breaking stuff,
do you have a list then of like, you know, we'll change tyres this often, we'll change?
Yeah, nothing official, to be honest. It's kind of, it was one of the things that caught me slightly off guard joining the team initially, was how on your own program you were in your little bay. Which again, maybe so the other teams might be different. I've only got experience working with Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
But, you know, I was kind of envisaging coming in and being like, right, this is the process. This is where you do the bike, and this is what we do.
Yeah.
And we've definitely, there's been an effort to make that more regulate, a bit more enforced now this coming season, because we had a few new guys join the team as well. But it's very much down to your own discretion. So, changing rotors, changing pads as you feel they need to be, and parts as you feel they need to be, that sort of thing. So, because there is, you know, they have a lifespan, even if you don't crash on it. Like, the amount of hammer the stuff gets after a couple of races, it's pretty clapped, to be honest. Which is wild considering how few runs they do, but it's just the intensity of those runs. You know, you start changing stuff, and you probably are slightly, you definitely err on the side of caution, because if anything's questionable, we're in the fortunate position that we've got an abundance of products from sponsors. Yeah. You know, if you're more grassroots, or you're a bit tired, or even when we go somewhere that's a smaller event and you've not got the quantity of stuff that you've got on a race truck, you know, like when I fly to New Zealand or whatever, or you go like hardline, you've got a lot more limited supply of stock, so you have to be a bit more mindful of using things. And you don't want to be wasteful, obviously, but at the end of the day, if you come into a race run and you're like thinking, well, that disc's all right, but if I put a new one on, I know it's going to be a little bit better. You don't want to have that thought in your head, you know what I mean? So
makes total sense. Yeah. So has being world champion changed anything for you two?
He managed to get a cool new bike. That's probably the biggest one.
That is very cool. Those hand painted Chris King hubs,
mate. Honestly, that was insane.
Yeah.
To touch on that, I mean, we obviously left Champrix, and then immediately the guys got on to, like, King had gotten in touch, and we're really keen to do something. We're going to try and get some hubs made or painted. Then they had hand painted in a paint shop in Oregon, shipped across express. They arrived late Monday night, I think, and then I got them late Tuesday night because Lyle driving over from Morzine.
Yeah.
I built those wheels like that evening in my kitchen at the Ecom at like midnight. Then Lyle had shipped a couple of frames to Fat Creations in the UK to get those painted. And fair play to those guys. I think I didn't know the full story, but they were going on a holiday and they had to get there on the Tuesday to paint them on the Wednesday. The guy left on the Thursday or something like that. Like it was such a rush job. Well, not a rush job, that sounds bad, but he had such a small amount of time. And if you had a single delay with customs or issues or whatever, like, you would have been goosed. But I think the hubs are honestly the coolest bit. They've never seen anything like them.
Yeah,
and I got to add my own little touch with the nipples and a bit of craft and all that. But
unreal.
Yeah, that was cool. No, I mean, for us, it's business as usual. Again, it's like it sounds a bit, I don't know, you enjoy the moment, like it's like enjoy that moment and take it in, but then obviously straight away afterwards we were thinking, right, overall, that's the next thing you want to be talking about, and that's the next job to do. Like, the season's not over, you've won that race, now there's another race. And I think that is another thing coming in with the mindset sort of stuff. You can try and start looking ahead and getting point savvy and doing all that sort of stuff, but you've just got to focus on 1 week at a time, really. It's like you're at the next race, and then what happened before doesn't matter, what comes after doesn't matter. You've got to win this race. And I mean, that's how it's gotten now with him and Loic, especially being so tight on points. I mean, they were actually genuinely neck and neck after Q1. I got told they were on exactly the same points. So then it comes down as simple as you've got to beat that bloke. You know? Yeah,
so you're embroiled in this battle, which is definitely, it's been ongoing, but it's really building now. And
it's so good.
Are you enjoying being in that?
I think it's amazing. I mean, again, for me personally, just to have this, you know, I'm playing a part in a championship battle with freaking these boys, you know, with Jackson, with Loic, you know, and then the whole Specialized crew, and then like it's very intense, but it's very good natured. It's very sporting, you know. It's cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's. Have you seen that they dropped that last edit last night where Jackson and Loic have collabed on it?
I haven't watched it. I saw it was there, but I haven't seen it.
It's so
properly.
cool. So Dorian, who films for Spesh, he had the idea and he sent it to Cole, who's our filmer.
Yeah.
And was like, would Jackson be keen to collab on this? And we'll like put it together on socials. And they sent some clips back and forth and got it all sort of like so that every party was happy. And yeah, it's building that up. But then there's like, you know, I don't know. It's interesting. I'd love to know from Loic's side how much is showmanship in a way, and how much is legit. Because I mean, I believe it's pretty freaking legit.
Yeah.
I think, you know, summer break, he probably spent every gym session thinking, I want to be Jackson. It's how it comes across.
Yeah.
You know, it's like literally that's how he does it, and you've seen it over the years as he's had title battles with different people. He's masterful at that, like mindset, mind games, and I mean, there's a reason that he's as successful as he is. He's fucking hard to beat.
Yeah, he's incredible. He can raise to.
Yeah, he's the only man who's raced every round and has never been to Q2 this year. Which is exactly why, you know, Jackson's obviously won all these 4 races in a row, but then he's had 2 rounds where he scored terrible points. So 3 rounds now where he scored terrible points. Yeah. So that's why you've got that element of yo-yo, whereas he is just Mr. Consistent. Like people will say, you'll hear the line guys be like, oh, he looks like he's struggling. He doesn't look good on track in practice. You bet your life savings, you come to Q1, he'll be top 5.
Yeah.
It just does it. I don't know how.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, like, after like, you know, Worlds, he came over when we were tearing the pit down, and he had a long chat with all of us, and like was chatting to Jackson, and he's like super genuine, nice dude. Like, I've got all the time for Luke.
Yeah.
I'd just be really curious to see like how much of it is planned. Like, I don't know, what's his actual mindset, I guess.
Yeah.
I think it must be pretty legit from how it comes across.
I get the impression he's a super nice guy.
Yeah,
and he loves the sport.
Hyper aggressively competitive.
Yeah, he wants to kill everyone on race day.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, exactly that, I think so. But yeah, I mean, I say it's never, the boys will still chat and fist bump before you drop in and all that sort of stuff. So it's always cool, but just, I mean, keen to see what the pressure cooker's like going forwards, really.
Yeah, I was going to say, because obviously the battle's gone the other way now, right? So Loic walks away this weekend with the jersey.
He is, yeah.
Jackson had that unfortunate mistake. Loic didn't capitalise maybe as much as he could have done on that, and similar to Leger, right?
No, I mean, I have to admit that was the first thing I said to Jack after we got down and we were chatting. I was like, I thought Loic was going to come across into P2, which would have been far worse for points. Yeah. P5 is not great, but it's you know, he said himself he wanted to be way higher up. He didn't ride how he wanted to ride. And yeah, same as Leger. Like, if he'd won or if he'd been on the podium, then it's a different story. There, you've really started to, like, that gap's growing, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's 100 points, which is one mechanical away from, you know, Jackson wins Q1, Loic has a mechanical or an issue, or Jackson wins another race and Loic's P5, or you'd have to work out the exact points because I'm sort of spitballing, but you know, it's neck and neck. Yeah. It's as neck and neck as you can be without them still being on the same points.
And we're home turf as well, right? Do you think there's a bit of an advantage there, being on your own time zone, being a bit more comfortable?
I reckon, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think it's a little bit more uncomfortable for the Euros going over there, and a little bit more comfortable for Jack because he's got such a history. Because it's weird in a way because it's kind of home turf. You know, it's East Coast, not West Coast. It's a long way from him. You know, it's a long flight. But it is, it's as close as he'll get to home until we go to Whistler next year. And he loves the track. He's always done well. You know, 23 was obviously the last time he raced there in anger. Excuse me. But it went pretty well. So I think he'll just be trying to channel that. I mean, it's just the wait and see how the pressure builds. Hey, people do weird things under pressure, and no one's infallible. I mean, Loic had the chance to wrap up the 23 title in snowshoe after Jack had a flat, and then he crashed and punctured that hole in his back, which was pretty brutal. And he still got the job done because he's a fierce competitor. He's a hell of a dude, but no one's perfect. There's plenty of room for mistakes from everyone, and I'll just be in my corner trying to make sure all the bolts are tight and I've got the right water bottles.
And you're still going in for the win? Like, that's still the intention?
I think so. Yeah, you've got to now. Like, as simple as it is, again, it's essentially a 2-horse race, and the points are so tight that I think at every opportunity you have to be beating the other bloke.
Yeah. every time session. Yeah.
Every race.
Every point session.
This was another thing in the intentions chats, actually. I remember the first time we did one it wasn't in Poland. Probably was Ludenville. And I think Seb got to me and I just said win. That's what I want to do. That's what I'm here for. I think it's probably not, it doesn't come across because of, again, like being quite laid back and stuff, but I'm extremely competitive as well. Losing fucking sucks. And there's definitely a difference between this was an interesting thing after Val di Sole, I think, because I think Loic, I might be paraphrasing here, so apologies if I get it wrong, but I remember him saying something along the lines of I'm not getting second isn't fun. Second or third, I'm not here for that. I don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
I'm here to win, which is very commendable. But me and Jack were chatting about it, and he's like, hell, I still that's great. He's going to be a bit annoyed I'm not won, but it's still good. Obviously, you're still there to win. I would be curious if I had that chat with Jack now, what he would say. I think he might be a bit different now once you've got into that pressure of the very pointy end of things, I suppose. But yeah, at the end of the day, I'm here to do the best I can do, and I want my rider to win. I want to win. I want team of the days. I want the team to win. It's you want the whole thing.
Why not?
I don't really see you can show up and go through the motions and just do your job and go home. But there's so much effort and as cool, as amazing as the role is with the travel and stuff, it's very highly stressed, long hours, not the most fun place to be sometimes. So in my mind, I can't quite balance out being I'll just come and do this job for a bit of a giggle. It's I really enjoy a lot of it and there's so many great perks, but I want to come here and I want to win.
Good on you, mate. I like that approach. We're out of the big trucks though for the next 2 rounds, right? Do you think that changes anything in the balance between Loic and Jackson? Do you think one of them might thrive better in that more simplistic environment than the other?
I don't know. I don't get the impression that either are particularly precious about that sort of thing. I know Jackson's not. I don't know about Loic. I don't think he's... I think that's something from what I've heard or what I've been told over the years, he's gotten a lot better at. He used to be a bit again, the headstrong stuff, if conditions weren't quite right, he would doubt himself, I guess, whereas now he's on it, and I don't see it really affecting Jackson. We're intense in Lake Placid, and then we actually have a truck set up in Mont Saint Anne, which will be really nice.
That's cool.
Hopefully we're not battling snow, but if we are, we've got somewhere warm to be. But because I think Spesh have a wagon over that way as well. I can't, from memory, they had a truck last year in Mont Saint Anne, so I think they've got a US truck that they use. So they might not be intense in Lake Placid, but I wouldn't know till you get there, to be honest.
Interesting.
Because then that's a whole hodgepodge of different stuff. You're either just in white marquee tents or we're fortunate. Last year in MSA we had the Fox motocross race truck. Which we can't have it in Placid because it's donations for the motocross, but then we've got it in Mont Saint Anne, from my understanding. So then we'll have an actual truck set up there, which it is a big positive just having those facilities on hand. It makes, even from a rider comfort point of view and then a mechanical point of view, having a good place to work is pretty helpful. But we've worked out of tents and won out of tents before, so I don't think it makes too much difference at the end of the day.
Bring it on, mate. Well, Thanks, dude. It's been an absolute pleasure catching up and hearing a bit more about your experiences and the way you guys work together. It's been fascinating watching the battle unfold, and I'm pretty sure I speak on behalf of the entire population of mountain bike fans that we're excited to see this come down to the line.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for being part of it and sharing your story.
Pleasure to chat about it.